discussion for this afternoon, starting with Social Science Quiz 2. Ayan. So for ganun po ulit, in case you have questions at any point throughout our session, just make sure to type them sa ating chat box and then I'll address your questions once I see them. Okay, so after discussing Social Science Quiz 2, by the way, we'll proceed to the Social Science Simulation exam answers. Okay, so let's start with question 1 first. Okay, so this is the theory that mental and physical disorders develop from a genetic or biological predisposition for that illness, combined with stressful conditions that play a precipitating or facilitating role. So we call this the letter A diathesis stress model. So if you only read up to the point of biological predisposition, baka ang sinagot natin is biological determinism. But again, sabi nga dito, it's combined, no? That biological predisposition is combined with stressful conditions that may trigger the developing of a disorder. So the answer is letter A, diathesis stress model. So I'll elaborate a little bit on what the diathesis stress model is on the next slide. Okay, so the diathesis stress model is essentially this, no? So sabi nga kanina, there are some people who might have a biological or a genetic predisposition or vulnerability to develop certain disorders. So for instance, your parents or one of your parents carry the genes, no, for a particular psychological disorder, then that makes you that makes you have no a predisposition or a biological genetic predisposition or vulnerability to develop that disorder. Okay, and sabi dun sa diathesis stress model, meron ding presence ng or in addition to the environmental stressor. No? So this can take many different forms for different people. It could be prenatal trauma, childhood sexual or physical abuse, even family conflict or significant life changes. No? So if you have a genetic predisposition, you carry the genes for particular disorder, tapos it is triggered by an environmental stressor, then it's possible, highly likely for you to develop that disorder. So sabi rin dito, the stronger the diathesis, the less stress is necessary to produce the disorder. So for instance, a lot of your ancestors, a lot of your grandparents, for example, it really runs in the family. For example, yung isang disorder, tapos both of your parents carry that gene, for instance, you have a higher diathesis or a stronger diathesis. Therefore, hindi na ganun ka-significant yung kailangang stress para ma-trigger yung pag-develop ng disorder. Then again, of course, the diathesis stress model also has a disclaimer na nagsasabi na, syempre, case to case basis pa rin naman to. Hindi porket meron ka nung meron kang genetic predisposition in a general for the general public or for genetic predisposition tapos nakaranas ka ng environmental stressor, it may be a trigger for you to develop the disorder. Okay, so yun yung diathesis stress model. Okay. Next, doon naman tayo sa ibang choices nakalagay sa definition ng ibang choices. So the first or the other choices, we have polygenic traits. So a polygenic trait is controlled by multiple non-allelic genes. So certain traits, that are controlled, or rather that are considered polygenic traits and are controlled by polygenes are height, skin color, eye color, and hair color. Okay, so next, doon naman tayo sa determinism. So, ang specifically nabanggit doon sa item is biological determinism. Although meron ding determinism ang sociology, ang psychology, at ang philosophy. So, syempre sa biological determinism, your biology determines many different things about you. Pwede siyang tumawid sa psychology, ganyan. So, yung parang claims, for example, na may association sa genetics yung sexual orientation ng isang tao, that may be considered under biological determinism. So in sociology, ang determinism naman ay more on if you meet certain conditions during your childhood, it can spell or in a way determine what your future is going to look like. So for example, if a person is exposed to a violent household as a child, they are highly likely to also exhibit violent behavior when they grow up. So that's determinism. Ngayon, whenever we teach or whenever we introduce the concept of determinism, it's always taught with ano ba, a caution, parang gano'n. We also point out, of course, the limitation of determinism. Kasi meron din namang cases, 'di ba, kung saan yes, lumaki siya sa isang violent household, pero hindi naman siya naging kriminal. Hindi naman din siya nag-develop ng violent tendencies when they grew up, 'di ba? So it's a case-to-case basis. The thing about determinism is it fails to account for the agency of the person, no? Yung kanyang will, yung kanyang desire to change as well, no? So yun yung I guess limitations ng determinism, especially in the sociology, yung application ng determinism sa sociology. Okay, so next, let's proceed to question number 2. Okay, chronologically arrange the events in the history of our species which determined early human survival. So tingnan natin kung alin dyan yung pinaka nauna. Okay, so statement 1, started to collect and cook shellfish. Pwede, no? Kasama yan sa hunting and gathering. So nasa umpisang part siya. 2, invested time in producing food and settled down. Villages became towns and towns became cities. This is obviously in the latter part, if not the last. Doon tayo sa statement 3, began making special fishing tools. Baka malapit siya doon sa collecting and cooking shellfish, nasa bandang start. 4, spent a large part of each day gathering plants and hunting or scavenging animals. No? So that's the first thing that happened. That's how we acquired our resources. So among the choices, alin dyan ang statement 4 ang nauna? That's B and C. So for letter B, after 4, ang sumunod na daw ay statement 5. Made the transition to producing food, found that they could control the growth and breeding of certain plants and animals. It's not necessarily what followed after hunting and gathering. So the answer is letter C. So after hunting and gathering, ang sumunod ay started to collect and cook shellfish. Afterwards, we made special fishing tools. Pagkatapos, saka tayo nag-transition to producing food na kaya natin kontrolin yung growth and breeding of certain plants and animals, followed by farming and herding animals, transformed natural landscapes, and finally, excuse me, invested time in producing food and settling down. Okay, wherein villages became towns and eventually towns became cities. Again, for number 2, the correct answer is letter C. Okay, on the next slide, we'll talk about the social transformations of society. So, paano nag-evolve, no, yung paraan natin ng pag-acquire ng resources. Okay. So sabi nga natin yung pinakaunang means to acquire our resources was hunting and gathering. So nag-gather ng nuts, fruits, ganyan, and plants. Tapos hunting animals, scavenging for animals. Okay. So lahat ng tao pare-pareho ng ginagawa, no? Lahat pare-pareho ng task, mag-hunt at mag-gather. And then the first social revolution was characterized by domestication of both plants and animals. Okay, so this allowed for the development of the pastoral and then eventually the horticultural society. So pastoral, this is when, of course, we started domesticating animals for our benefit, for our utilization, and then horticultural society, they started also to domesticate plants. They started to not manipulate. Ano yung word na ginamit kanina? Control, ayan, the growth of certain plants. Okay, after that, nagkaroon ng second social revolution which is characterized by agricultural society. So ngayon, hindi na lang tayo basta nagtanim, no? So by the way, additional pala dun sa domestication or sa horticultural and pastoral society, we were still nomadic. Okay, so ibig sabihin, wala pa rin tayong permanent settlements. So once maubos halimbawa yung resources sa area na to, lilipat sa ibang area na mas maayos yung resources. So sa agricultural society, this was of course brought upon by the invention of the plow. So dito na naging mas sophisticated, no, yung pagtatanim, mas naging natutunan na rin nila kung paano ma-maximize yung nutrients ng isang lupa, for example, ng lupain. And as mentioned, mas naging permanent na yung settlements, no? Mas nagstay na sila sa iisang lugar kasi nga syempre andun yung tinatamnan nilang lupa. Okay. Followed by the third social revolution, characterized by the industrial society. So we discussed this already last session dun sa industrial revolution. Specifically, the first industrial revolution was brought upon by the invention of the steam engine. Okay. And then the fourth social revolution is the post-industrial or information society brought upon by the invention of the microchip. And then sabi, eventually, papunta raw tayo sa fifth social revolution, sa biotechnology. So, of course, no one knows yet what's going to happen. But these are the social transformations of society. Okay. Let's go now to question number 3. Okay. For number 3, of course, normally, no, sa exam, if you see that if you see that there's a question that's this long, of course, you just have to figure out or hanapin nyo yung just the essential question. So in this case, that's the last sentence. But since this is our only opportunity to also encounter anthropological concepts, kasi hindi natin sila na-discuss during the lecture, babasahin natin siya only for today's session. No? Pero during the actual exam, to save time, no, basahin niyo yung actual question rather than the very, very long stem. Okay, so anyway, Earth's beginnings can be traced back to 4.5 billion years ago, the prehistoric period, or when there was human life before records documented human activity, roughly dates from 2.5 million years ago to 1200 BC. It is generally categorized in archaeological periods known as the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. In the Stone Age particularly, it's divided into three: Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic eras. What were the events and developments during the Mesolithic period of the Stone Age? Okay? So, ang tinatanong sa atin, ano-ano yung mga nangyari noong Mesolithic period of the Stone Age? And the answer is letter C. People lived nomadically in camps near rivers and other bodies of water. Agriculture was introduced during this time, leading to more permanent settlements in villages. So, on the next slide, of course, we'll be discussing what happened ba in the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic eras. Ayan. So for the Paleolithic era, this is the longest, no, among these three. It's the longest period under the Stone Age. So we have from 70,000 BC to 12,000 BC. So ano yung itsura ng arts and crafts ng Paleolithic era? So this the people or the humans painted cave walls. They usually also painted animals. Of course, kung ano yung mga nakikita nila sa paligid nila, that's what they represented in the cave paintings. And in obtaining food, generally hunting and gathering, as we have discussed. And then in order to adapt to their surroundings, they learned to make fire at this point. They started to develop simple language and created simple tools and shelters. So it goes without saying, no, that these people, that the humans during this time were also nomadic. No? So they did not settle permanently sa isang lugar. So pag naubos, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, pag naubos yung resources sa isang area, they're going to transfer to a different area na mas maraming resources. So for the Mesolithic era, the kind of art that they had is pottery and cave paintings pa rin. So, bakit may pottery na dyan? Kasi nga nag-improve na yung kanilang pag-manipulate or paggamit ng fire, no? Which is a very important aspect in a lot of pottery practices. Okay, and then in obtaining food, ganun pa rin, hunting and gathering. Pero, they already developed mechanisms to store food for later use. So they devised mechanisms to preserve their food. And there's villages were near rivers and lakes, semi-nomadic, no, yung mga tao at this point. They used bows and arrows and other simple tools and began taming animals, no. So they started domesticating animals. Ngayon, sa Neolithic era, that's the transition essentially into the agricultural society. So at this point, no, during the Neolithic era, mas dyan pa rin yung pottery pero I think mas nag-improve na siya. Mas naging sophisticated yung designs. They carved objects from wood, which is also an indication of the kinds of tools that they had, no? Kaya nang makaukit, kaya nang makaukit ng wood. Built shelters and tombs, no? So since, excuse me, during the Mesolithic era and the Paleolithic era, since nomadic nga sila, no, a lot of the people stayed in caves, and then others built yung kanilang shelters ay madaling i-dismantle, madaling buwagin, madaling disassemble, parang ganun. Para kapag lumipat sila, kaya nilang i-reassemble din ulit. But during the Neolithic era, mas naging permanent na nga yung kanilang settlements. And beyond more permanent shelters, they also created tombs. So one of the things kasi that happened, no, because of them settling in a permanent area, they started to confront what they had to do with their dead. No? So, dito na nakikita na nagiging visible na sa kanila yung aging, nagiging visible na sa kanila yung death as well. Kasi before, when they were nomadic, I guess they had the option to just leave their dead, di ba? But since they were now settling in more permanent villages, hindi na sila alis doon. So, saan nila ilalagay yung patay nila? So, they then created tombs. And what I guess this also led to the development of more complex belief systems, no, the belief in the afterlife, because they were seeking a sort of explanation or trying to make sense of what happens after death. Obtaining food, began farming in permanent villages, raised and herded animals. And then finally, they also built mud brick houses. Sabi nga natin, mas permanent na, mas matibay na pati yung kanilang mga shelters. Places of worship as well. Kasi nga, as I mentioned, they started to confront, no, the notions of death and the afterlife by extension. Had specialized jobs, no? So since nagsettle na sila sa permanent villages, um, una sa lahat, agricultural na yung klase ng society. So, farming in the first place entails many different tasks. Iba yung magtatanim, yung mag-aani, yung magme-maintain ng lupa, mag-observe, magte-take care ng tanim, tapos iba din yung magpoproseso kapag inani na, yung magpe-prepare ng food, so on and so forth, no? And because they had, yun nga, mas naging iba-iba na, parang ganun, yung delegation of tasks. Unlike nung mga previous periods na hunting and gathering, pare-pareho lahat ng task, pare-pareho tayo ng ginagawa lahat. Eventually, sabi nga natin, they also started to also confront ideas on death and afterlife, on belief systems. Nagkaroon na din ng mga spirit guides, no, yung mga members ng community na nagtatawid or nagmi-mediate, no, between the real world and the world of the deities, for instance. So nagkaroon na rin ng mga priests, nagkaroon na din ng mga scholars, ganyan. So mas naging complex, kumbaga, yung society. Mas nagkaroon ng specialization, no, ng tasks. Created more complex tools out of copper and bronze. So those are the things that happened in each of the eras during the Stone Age. Okay, so on the next slide, here we have um, another illustration. So this will make you understand, 'di ba, na yung pinakamahabang period talaga is the Paleolithic period era, followed by the Mesolithic, and then pinakamaikli yung Neolithic era. Okay, so next, let's proceed to the next question. For number 4, there is a growing movement around the world which calls for the enactment of a law that would make assisted death available for terminally ill and severely disabled individuals should they desire the said option. However, religious institutions are aggressively against the proposal, arguing that although seemingly progressive, assisted death is actually morally corrupt. So this is an example of the answer here is letter A, cultural lag. So I think napag-usapan natin to dun sa social change, 'di ba? There are factors that inhibit or prevent social change from happening, and those are values, habits, norms that a society has. And especially when it comes to religious institutions, they have a very strong hold on their traditions, their values, no? And pinanghahawakan talaga nila ito ng kung ano yung values, traditions na na-establish a long, long time ago, mine-maintain nila ito, no? So, sinusustain nila ito. So, that means they sort of just imagine, di ba? These are the belief systems of people from a very long time ago, from hundreds of years ago. And of course, it's bound to be in contradiction with a lot of modern quote-unquote progressive ideas, no? So, lag ang nangyayari. So, nagkukulang ng parang updating kasi nga, hindi rin sila willing na i-accommodate yung ganito kabagong mga ideas kasi nga they have a very, very strong hold on their values, on their norms, on their traditions. And another term here is, ayan, cultural disparity. So this means um, cultural disparity is when in a particular society, there is a lot of variation when it comes to cultural traits, like knowledge, skills, and beliefs of people. Yun lang yung ibig sabihin ng cultural disparity. Okay, so the answer, yes, Patricia, to number 4 is letter A. Very good. Okay, next tayo sa number 5. Okay, for number 5, in this situation, X was a young girl. She encountered a sexual predator, a traumatic experience which led to her estrangement from men. When she entered into the workforce as an adult, her colleagues commented on how she seemingly has a positive disposition, not knowing that every night X awakens in her own screams and tears. Okay, so this is the choices include defense mechanisms. So what happened here is she was able to push down to her unconscious yung traumatic experience. We know it's in her unconscious through, kasi nga lumalabas ito through dreams, no? Sa bangungot niya. Nagigising siya kada gabi in her own screams and tears. So this is letter D, repression. If you recall, meron tayong iba't ibang defense mechanisms na napag-usapan during our first session, and ito sila. Repression, when we push down the traumatic experience down to our unconscious. Denial, when we reject the reality of something. Kadalasan, we are distracting ourselves from the situation, instead focusing on the opposite, no? The positive things, for instance. Projection is when we attribute things that we don't like about ourselves or things that we are guilty about onto others, no? Parang we accuse others of doing the same thing. Displacement is when we satisfy an impulse with a substitute object. Ibig sabihin, hindi natin ina-address yung source ng tension or nung stressful experience. Rather, we take it out on our dog or our pet or our spouse. Regression is going back in psychological time. Sublimation is similar to displacement, but the substitute object is more socially acceptable. So instead of, taking out your anger on your pet, you instead take out your anger and your frustrations on a boxing, a punching bag, or you go to exercise, ganyan. You run, go for a run. Okay, for number 6, this is again a question on defense mechanisms. So here, X has a history of alcohol abuse, although highly functional as a member of the community. He has earned 2 diplomas, worked in executive positions, and a model father and husband until his recent lapses in judgment, which he does not attribute to his drinking. So hindi niya tinitignan na ang dahilan kung bakit meron siyang lapses in judgment ay dahil sa kanyang alcoholism. Instead, ang focus niya, ako ay meron akong 2 diploma. I work in executive positions. I'm a model father and husband. So this is an example of letter C. Yes, very good. Thank you, Patricia. Denial. No? Sabi nga natin, nire-reject natin yung reality of what's happening, and instead we're focusing on the other things, kadalasan the positive things. Okay? So that we don't have to think of the negative situation. Let's go now to question number 7. Okay. For number 7, the creation of assembly lines in a factory is considered essential to industries, maximizes production, and ensures optimal profitability. In a manufacturing plant, workers are divided into lines that produce a respective part of a certain commodity, such that the finished product is considered the work of all. When individuals become estranged, no, from their own creation, because of the demands of, and inhibitions of capitalism. According to Karl Marx, this results in, so what is the synonym of estranged? That is letter A, alienation. Ayan. So for alienation, actually, Marx has ano ba, explained or listed down four types of alienation, which we're going to discuss on the next slide. Okay, the first is alienation of the worker from their product. So this is sort of what's being discussed in the situation, in that sabi nga, 'di ba, ikaw, kung halimbawa sa assembly line. By the way, I have to establish the context first pala. Marx worked on on these ideas of his during the first industrial revolution. So exposed lang siya sa mechanical production. Ibig sabihin, wala pa yung electricity, wala pa yung ang tawag dyan, wala pa yung ibang klase ng labor, I guess, na hindi rin naman super mechanical. So, just to set the context so that it makes more sense, bakit ito yung mga pinagsasabi ni Marx. So, alienation of the worker from the product. Kasi nga, sabi 'di ba sa isang assembly line, um, kung halimbawa tayo ay gumagawa ng cellphone, ako yung gagawa or certain people yung gagawa sa kaha, certain people yung gagawa sa screen, certain people yung gagawa sa so on and so forth, no? So ibig sabihin, hindi natin kailangang mag-cooperate parang ganun para magawa yung produkto. We just have to do our own individual tasks and then we're good to go. So there's an alienation that happens there of the worker from the product kasi we don't have a sense of ownership dun sa product na ginawa natin. Pinaniniwalaan kasi ni Marx na sa kada bagay no na inexertan natin ng effort, we have to have a sense of ownership to that. We take pride in things that we do. Isipin nyo na lang halimbawa nakatapos kayo ng paper, nakagawa kayo ng, especially for people who like working with their hands, nag-bake ka, nagluto ka, 'di ba? You feel a sense of pride kahit paano dun sa nagawa mo. But workers are robbed of that when they work, sabi ni Marx, kasi nga hindi naman para sa kanila yung produkto na ginagawa nila. So it's the production process, the development, the design is not decided on by the worker. It's instead decided by the capitalist. So walang control yung worker dun sa ginagawa niya, sa kung ano yung gustong ipagawa sa kanya. No, so yun yung alienation of the worker from the product. Next is alienation of the worker from the act of production. So sa capitalist society, sabi ni Marx, ang production ay paulit-ulit, repetitive, monotonous, robotic, mechanical. There's little to no psychological satisfaction to the worker. And sabi nga, si Marx ay very much a humanist if we're going to think about it really. Kasi para sa kanya, yung labor natin, yung mga bagay na ini-exertan natin ng effort ay dapat para sa sarili nating development, para sa sarili nating fulfillment, ganyan. Pero dahil nga ganito, no, very monotonous, very repetitive, very mechanical, robotic yung ginagawa. Hindi natin ginagawa yung effort na yun para masatisfy tayo. Instead, ginagawa natin siya kasi it's a necessity for us as a means to survive. Hindi na tayo nag-exert ng effort para sa sarili nating benefit or para sa sarili nating enrichment. Instead, what we're doing is we're selling our labor. No, binebenta natin yung effort natin kasi nga kailangan nating kumita ng pera para tayo ay makakain. Number three, alienation of the worker from their species essence. So yung species essence ay tinatawag ni Marx na Gattungswesen. So ito yung idea niya na lahat ng tao ay merong potentials, merong skills, merong mga dapat ma-achieve sa buhay. Natin as a market commodity para kumita tayo kasi out of necessity lang siya. Again, hindi na siya para sa sarili nating enrichment. Hindi na natin siya ginagawa para ma-develop tayo as a person, maka-achieve tayo ng self-actualization, ganyan. Hindi na siya for that. It's instead to sell our labor para kumita tayo ng pera kasi kailangan natin yun para tayo ay makakain, mag-survive. Number four is alienation of the worker from other workers. This can be interpreted in two ways. The first one is yung nabanggit kanina dun sa itsura ng assembly line na individuals just have to do their own task. They don't necessarily have to cooperate with other workers para mabuo yung produkto, no? So they then feel disconnected, no, from other members or from other workers. They don't necessarily have to speak or coordinate with other workers, work as a team with other workers para ma-achieve yun. Which also becomes a hindrance, parang ganun, for them to unionize or to organize. Another interpretation of alienation of the worker from other workers is the concept of competition in the labor market. So dahil halimbawa isipin ninyo yung mga ka-course, yung mga friends nyo, yung mga ka-course ninyo, in the future pag nag-apply kayo sa trabaho, mga kalaban nyo yan, mga kakompetensya nyo yung mga yan, no? Kasi pare-pareho kayo ng, hindi naman pare-pareho exactly, no? Pero you have the same set of skills, you have the same set of credentials, for example. So, kayo ay mag-aagawan sa mga available positions na may kinalaman sa program ninyo. So, that's competition in the labor market. So in the lens of capitalism, competition is a good thing, no? If according to capitalism, if there are halimbawa three businesses competing for the same market, halimbawa they offer the same product or the same service, syempre kailangan nilang mag-offer ng something different, no? Kailangan meron silang kumbaga value proposition sa kanilang product or sa kanilang service. There has to be something unique, 'di ba, nakakagatin ng masa para piliin sila, no, ng mga mamimili. So in that logic, nag-i-improve yung services, nag-i-improve yung available products dahil sa competition. Pero we know that in reality, this is not actually what happens kasi monopoly, duopoly lang yung nangyayari. So hindi naman talaga nagta-translate into improvement of services. No? So anyway, but in the concept, the concept of competition for capitalism is something that's positive. So this is also applicable to the labor market. So yung sinasabi ko nga kanina na compete ngayon, no, yung mga workers or yung mga workers para sa mga position. And then syempre, beneficial ito para sa companies kasi kung sino yung may best, yun lang yung kukunin nila. Best credentials, best set of skills. So sabi ni Marx, hindi imbis na sana nagko-cooperate tayo, nagko-coordinate din as something that will create a society that is established using collective common effort. We're all doing this for the betterment of everyone. We then become individualistic. We instead become, yun nga, we're looking out for ourselves, ganyan, and see ourselves as in competition with other people, other players in the market, so to speak. Okay? So yun yung four types of alienation ni Karl Marx. Next, item number 8, Dr. Hans Selye was the first to give a scientific explanation for biological stress. Ang tawag niya sa model ay General Adaptation Syndrome. So ang tanong ay, which of the following is not included in that model? So alin yung, may tatlong stages lang kasi, alin dyan yung hindi kasama? Walang acceptance stage sa general adaptation syndrome. On the next slide, I'll be explaining briefly what the general adaptation syndrome is. Okay, so ayan. So these are the different stages of stress. Let's start with alarm. So upon being exposed to a threat or a trigger, our amygdala in our brain becomes activated, releasing adrenaline. So if we release adrenaline, our body is then conditioned to react to the stressor. Our body enters fight, flight, or freeze stage or state. Diba? Kapag halimbawa may threat, may danger sa harap natin. So, ang physiological manifestations niyan, increase in heart rate, increase in blood pressure, increase in muscle tension. In terms of mental, we lose focus, racing thoughts, affect or our feelings or emotions, we feel fear and anxiety. So that's upon being exposed to a threat or a stressor, a trigger. Then afterwards, if the stressor persists, no, ibig sabihin, hindi siya umalis, andyan pa rin yung stressor, na-activate yung ating HPA axis, releasing now cortisol. So our body then reacts through physical and mental coping to resist stressor. So our body seeks peace, our body seeks homeostasis. No, so because we're in a prolonged state of stress, it results in poor sleep, low immunity sa physiological, mental naman unstable mood and mental fatigue. Sa affect ay highly emotional reactivity. Mabilis tayong mairita, mabilis tayong mag-react sa mga bagay-bagay. Mas malala, no, kung hindi pa rin talaga nawala yung stressor, it demands overwhelm. It has a global impact now. When we say global impact, hindi siya sa buong mundo. Meron ng buong brain natin yung affected na. So multiple regions of the brain are affected and nauubos na yung ating adaptive resources resulting to the body. So physiological manifestation, chronic fatigue for poor health. We then our mental and cognitive health now declines. We feel numb, we feel detached. It's possible to even develop mood disorders. So these are the stages, no, in the general adaptation syndrome, as pointed out by Dr. Hans Selye. Okay, next, item number 9. Okay, so he is best known for his Bobo doll experiment, an empirical approach to the social learning theory. Ang sabi niya, people learn through observing, imitating, and modeling, and not only by being rewarded or punished. So wala na agad si B.F. Skinner kasi di ba siya yung proponent natin for operant conditioning na ang focus nga ay rewards and punishments. Si Max Wertheimer naman, siya ay proponent natin, di ba, sa Gestalt psychology. Si Wilhelm Wundt naman ay sa structuralism school of thought ng psychology. So the correct answer here is letter A, Albert Bobo doll experiment. And what is the social learning theory? Okay, so in the Bobo doll experiment, ito yung nangyari. So look at the images on the first row sa taas, itong mga to. So what happened was, ang subjects by the way ng research ay mga bata. So ang ginawa nila Albert Bandura, they showed kids or children a video, no? A video of an adult woman or of adults, no, treating the Bobo doll like this, no? So ang Bobo doll, ito yon siya. Yung kapag sinapak mo, babalik. So the adults treated the Bobo doll aggressively, violently, sinapak-sapak, tadyakan, binato-bato, ganyan. Okay, so the kids watched that video. And then eventually, after watching the video, the children were asked to play with the Bobo doll. And what happened was, no, as you can see in the pictures, the children acted in the same way that the adult did in the videos. So sinapak-sapak din nila, tinadyak-tadyakan nila, binato-bato rin nila. So that's how Albert Bandura arrived at the social learning theory. By the way, grounded theory ang tawag natin dito. Nauna yung research experiment, and then from sinasabi lang naman ng social learning theory is that children observe the people around them. So meron tayong tinatawag na models, at yung mga model na yun yung ini-imitate nila yung behavior. So models may be the parents of the children, their teachers, adult figures, and even the characters na napapanood nila sa TV, halimbawa, or sa movies. Yun yung kanilang models, and ginagaya nila yung behavior ng mga taong yon. So this is a new idea kasi back when it was first introduced, of course. Kasi sabi natin, 'di ba, ang behavior daw ay natututunan. Pero ang paraan ng pagkakatuto sa behavior ay dalawa lang, no, inintroduce natin sa lecture. Yung operant conditioning at classical conditioning. So instead of just focusing on the rewards and punishments, natututo din daw ang mga tao ng behavior sa pamamagitan ng imitation. Okay, observation and imitation. Okay, next, for number 10, Gothic communities, they are distinct, dark hairstyle, obsession with Victorian and medieval history, so on and so forth. These communities are an example of just subculture. No? So hindi naman sila counterculture kasi they don't necessarily challenge any particular ideology or norm of the general or the larger culture rather. Okay. Next tayo sa number 11. Okay, which statements are true about the government of the Philippines? Okay, isa-isahin natin. Statement 1, Congress is a bicameral body. That is true. Sabi nga natin, binubuo ito ng Senate at ng House of Representatives. Statement 2, the Philippines is a democratic republic with a presidential form of government. So that's true as well. Democratic republic meaning tayo ay nag-elect ng ating uh, government officials and hindi nakakoncentrate yung power sa kahit anong branch. No? So share-share sila ng powers. And then number 3, judiciary, Congress, the judiciary and Congress are under the control and supervision of the executive department or the president. Of course, we know that this is false. I just mentioned na para maging democratic republic ang isang estado, ibig sabihin ang kapangyarihan ay hindi naka-concentrate sa isang tao. Ito ay essentially nasa kamay ng masa, no, through votation. And then the branches, of course, will have equal powers and should be independent from each other. And then number 4, the Constitution starts with the preamble. That is also correct. Therefore, the correct answer is letter C. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. So the correct answer is letter C, 1, 2, and 4 only. Okay, so on the next slide, I'll show you the 1987 Constitution Preamble. Okay, so i-mention ko lang naman dito essentially is this part. No? May sinasabi kasi dito na and blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace. No, so there's an emphasis, a lot of emphasis on independence, on democracy, on freedom, on equality. Kasi remember, the 1987 Constitution was a product of or almost a result of the martial law period or the lessons that we learned no, from the martial law period. Since that period was a period where when they were deprived no, of democracy, of civil rights, nagkaroon silang renowned or nabalik yung parang valuation nila on democracy. Kaya emphasized no, yung pagpapahalaga. So let's go to number 12. Question 12. A system that features a market-based economy coupled with extensive social programs that include free healthcare and education for all citizens is called letter C, welfare capitalism. Parang ang counterintuitive pakinggan, no? Welfare capitalism. So welfare capitalism is an economic system. So ang itsura kasi nito, yung government, no, hindi niya kayang mag-provide ng welfare or ng social programs para sa mga tao efficiently. So, ang gumagawa nito is the business sector. Okay? Ang nagpo-provide ng welfare ng social program sa ganitong klaseng system ay ang business sector or ang private sector. So in return, no, to also enable the businesses to still provide welfare or social programs para sa mga tao, the government will then pass policies or magpapasa sila ng mga polisiya na in favor of the private sector. No? Business-favored policies yung kanilang ilalabas para again, ma-enable din yung mga businesses na magpatuloy na mag-provide ng welfare programs para sa mga tao. Okay, so which is supposedly the task nga of the government itself. No? So yun yung welfare capitalism. And then, yung isang choice dyan, state capitalism, it's also an economic system. Dito naman, yung estado ay nag-undertake ng business and commercial activities, no, so it's still for profit, so parang excuse me, it is the state that engages no in commercial activities, pero yung means of production, so yung yung capital, yung technology, and so on, ay nationalized. Ibig sabihin, yung estado yung nagmamay-ari nun. So, it's still considered as capitalism, state capitalism ang tawag sa kanya kasi profiteering pa rin siya. No? Ibig sabihin, pinagkakakitaan niya pa rin ito. But of course, no, yung kinikita naman ito ay napupunta sa estado para rin magamit para sa welfare programs ng mga tao. Okay, and then for socialism and communism, I'm going to explain the difference between the two on the next slide. I feel like madalas kasing ang tawag to, na-exchange no, yung terms na socialism and communism. When in fact, they're actually two different things. They are stages of the same concept. They are, paano ko ba explain? Stages sila. Kabilang sila sa stages na dinedescribe ni Marx. So I'll be enumerating the stages here first. Proto-communism, slavery, feudalism, capitalism, socialism, and then communism. So ito yung stages of history according to Marx. So sabi niya, yung history natin ay binubuo ng ganitong mga stages. No? So it started with proto-communism. Ito yung hunting and gathering stage natin kung saan, yun nga, lahat ng task natin ay pare-pareho. Tayo ay pare-parehong kailangan mag-hunt at mag-gather para makasurvive. No? So walang class distinction. Walang mas mayaman, walang mas mahirap. Okay, and then slavery, nag-exist na ngayon yung conflict between, of course, the slave owner or the master and the slave themselves. Feudalism naman, ang conflict dyan is between the landlord and the tenant or the renter o kaya yung farmer nga. And then capitalism is between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Okay. And then after capitalism, ang mangyayari daw is socialism, which will be followed eventually by communism. So all of these stages happened because of societal upheaval. Ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ng significant changes, nag-push yung mga tao na magbago yung status quo, kaya tayo nag-proceed sa sumunod na estado or sa sumunod na stage. No? And according to Marx, no, capitalism will be overthrown or will be dismantled through the armed revolution, which will eventually lead to socialism. Okay, so ano ba yung meron muna sa capitalism? No? Sabi natin nung first meeting, one of the first things or problems, main problems that Marxism wants to eliminate really is the problem of exploitation. So sabi natin ulit, pag sinabing exploitation, this is when the body produces value but that value is not accordingly, that value is not properly compensated or it's not compensated accordingly. In other words, you are overworked yet you are underpaid. Okay? So it then makes sense that socialism is characterized by the elimination of exploitation. Kaya kung titignan natin yung basic philosophy ng socialism, nakalagay dyan, to each according to his contribution. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung ano yung inexert mong effort, kung ano yung trinabaho mo, yun lang din yung matatanggap mong bayad. Yun lang din yung matatanggap mong resource in exchange. Okay? So, it makes sense now, di ba? Knowing that in capitalism, the main problem really is exploitation. No matter how hard you work, according to Marx, di ba? No matter how hard you work, you're not going to be as rich as the employer. You're not going to be as rich as the capitalist. So it doesn't, yung hard work hindi nagta-translate sa kung gaano kakayaman. Unlike sa socialism, yun yung magiging solution ngayon. Sa socialism, kung ano yung tinrabaho mo, yun yung ibibigay sa'yo. Okay, so to each according to his contribution. So the keyword in socialism really is contribution. Now, when it comes to communism, the keyword here is to each according to his needs. Okay, so we have to remember that the goal of communism now is to eliminate class distinction. Ibig sabihin, walang mayaman, walang mahirap, lahat ay pantay-pantay. At para mangyari yon, kailangan ang mangyari muna is equity, mabigay sa tao kung ano yung kanyang pangangailangan. So say for example, gagamit na lang ako ng numbers para mas madali siyang mag-make sense sa atin. So for example, person A, in terms of achieving lahat ng necessities natin, out of 10 siya. Ganyan. Yung pag na-achieve mo na lahat ng necessities mo, 10 na yung level na yon. So for example, person A is on level 6. Ang ibibigay sa kanya ngayon ng estado ay 4. Kasi yun yung kailangan niya. 4 lang yung kailangan niya para maabot yung 10 na kompletong necessities. So if person B, for example, is only on level 2, ang ibibigay sa kanya ng government ay mas marami or mas malaki, which is 8. Kasi yun yung kailangan niya para ma-achieve yung 10. Okay? So yun yung communism. Ibibigay sa atin kung ano yung kailangan natin para magpantay-pantay lahat. Okay, so that's the point of communism. Another distinct difference between socialism and communism is yung sa ownership of economic resources. For socialism, individuals still own personal property, pero all industrial and production capacity is communally owned and managed by a democratically elected government. So meron pa ring existence ng personal property. So posible pa rin no, na may mas mayaman at may mas mahirap. Depende sa kung ano yung in-effort mo siguro. Pero all industrial and production capacity is communally owned. So yung industry and production ay pagmamay-ari ng lahat. Share-share ang lahat. Tapos ang nagmamanage dito is the government as opposed to communism. So the setup in communism is that there are no personal properties, no? So walang personal property na pinanghahawakan ang individuals, no? Walang personal property, walang personal assets. Everything, all economic resources are publicly owned and controlled by the government. So sabi nga kasi natin, kung ano yung kakailanganin mo, yun lang yung ibibigay sa'yo. Kaya siya tinawag na equity, di ba? So all the economic resources are publicly owned. So para ma-achieve yung classless society, ganito daw yung kailangan gawin. So yun yung main distinction between communism and socialism. Okay. May questions ba guys so far? Okay. Sige. If you have questions at any point, as usual, just type your questions sa ating chat box. Let's now proceed to question number 13. Okay, so this is considered as an encompassing or surrounding of the individual by one's culture. So by this point, na-acquire mo na by immersion yung culture ninyo. Okay, so that is letter D, enculturation. So we explained this during the first session. Socialization is the process through which we acquire culture. Dito natin, sa pamagitan ng socialization natin, natututunan at nakukuha ang kultura. So kapag nakuha mo na yung culture, na-acquire mo na yung culture, you are embodying now the culture. It's called enculturation. Okay, let's go to 14. Okay, so dreams occur most often but by no means exclusively during periods of letter B, REM sleep. Okay, next, number 15. Certain tribes exist in this archipelago and they express extreme hostility towards foreigners who intend to make contact. Ganito na yung ginagawa nila ever since, resulting to almost absolute isolation, which has prevented letter D, cultural diffusion. So we discussed also cultural diffusion during our first session. Remember, on social change as one of the factors that contribute or promote social change. So cultural diffusion is when culture is no longer concentrated on just one area. Instead, kumakalat siya. So dahil nga hindi nila hinahayaang may makapasok na outsiders sa community nila at hindi rin sila nakikipag-interact sa outsiders, meaning they prevent the culture within that community to be influenced. And at the same time, hindi rin lumalabas yung culture nila kasi nga andun lang sila, hindi sila nakikipag-interact. It prevents cultural diffusion. How about now? Can you hear me? Yes na. Okay, sorry. So did I get cut off sa number 16 or number 15? Narinig niyo ba yung explanation for 15? 16 na. Okay, sige. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know. Ayan. Okay, so sabi dito, social norms na kailangan ma-observe ng lahat ng society members for the culture to survive kasi regarded siya as vital to the well-being of any member. Kapag violate itong social norm na ito, wala namang legal sanctions, pero merong social punishment through peer disapproval. So agad-agad tanggal na si loss kasi nga wala namang legal sanction. So among conventions, mores, and folkways, alin ba dyan yung merong vital, no, sa well-being ng ibang tao? Conventions and folkways, not so much kasi hindi naman sila, kapag di naman natin to sinunod, wala namang makaharm na ibang tao. Unlike mores, no, karamihan ng mores natin or notions natin of morality, naka-anchor yan sa ano yung magiging impact nito sa ibang tao, no, makakasama ba to sa ibang tao? So the best answer for number 16 is letter B. Ayan. Okay. Next tayo, number 17. Okay. So nakakaranas siya ng shaking, sweating, chest pain, dizziness, hyperventilation, and or nausea kapag siya ay mag-isa. So this is phobia, specifically an autophobia. So autophobia is the fear of being alone. Ophidiophobia is fear of snakes. Acrophobia is the fear of heights, which is different from aerophobia, aerophobia, which is the fear of flying. And then phobophobia is the fear of fear. Okay, so next tayo sa number 18. Okay, number 18, in this situation, yung mag-asawa, um, nagkaroon na sila ng three miscarriages. Tapos this time, nabuntis siya eh. Kiniklaim niya na hindi na niya maalala na kinasal na siya, nakasal siya dun sa asawa niya. So this is an example or this may be a case of dissociative amnesia. So dissociative amnesia is when there are memory gaps, usually involving personal information, no? Inability to recall personal information, like that, kung kanino ka kinasal. Anterograde amnesia is, I'm going to take a popular culture approach. Kung familiar kayo sa 51st Dates, no? Parang ganun yung anterograde amnesia. Parang nagre-reset yung memory after a while. Infantile amnesia is the phenomenon describing the fact na hindi natin maalala karamihan ng mga nangyari sa atin when we were infants. And then dissociative identity disorder is, again, more popularly known siguro as multiple personality disorder, but it's more appropriate to call it dissociative identity disorder. Next, number 19. Okay, so in this situation, tumataas daw yung presyo ng mga bilihin, tapos ang pinaka-apektado syempre ang mga mahihirap, tapos yung mga nasa mga mayayaman hindi naman masyadong apektado. Tapos gusto ni character na mag-raise ng awareness on social justice. So nakipag-coordinate siya sa mga union, sa mga labor groups at nagprotesta. The principles of our character aligns with letter C, conflict theory. Okay. And then yung walang structural instability theory. The dysfunctionalism na discuss natin yan, yung concept ng fails to do its function, but what it does actually contributes to disorder in society. And then wealth disparity is just essentially inequality in wealth. No? So in the Philippines, ito na yung estado ng ating wealth inequality from 2017. So hindi na siya tatsulok, siya na po ay thumbtack. So very exponential na yung difference, no, ng mayaman sa mahirap. Okay, I think this is the last one for Soksai Quiz 2. So in this situation, yung character natin ay accountant for a multinational firm. Tapos, yung ginagawa niya, nagda-divert siya ng funds, no, from the corporation to his personal accounts. Sinasabi niya though na yung actions niya ay justifiable naman kasi yung board of directors nga involved din sa illegal transactions. So this is an example of letter B, rationalization. No? The keyword there is justifiable or justify niya essentially kung ano yung ginagawa niya. Okay. And then I'll show you the answer key for Socksci Quiz 2. If you want to double check your answers, I'll be dictating 1A, 2, 3C, 4A, 5 dog, 6C, 7, 8, 9A, 10 boy, 11C, 12C, 13 dog, 14 boy, 15 dog, 16 boy, 17 dog, 18 boy, 19C, and 20 boy. Ayan. Okay, so that ends Socksci Quiz 2. We'll now proceed to Social Science Simulation exam, which is 30 items. I think mako-cover naman natin siya lahat. Ay, ganun ulit guys ha. If you have questions, go lang. Type lang tayo sa chat box. Okay, so let's now proceed to the Social Science Simulation exam, discussion of answers. Okay, so for item number 1, ayan. So if you take a look at the choices, kung natatandaan pa natin, si Jem and Shaft at si Jessel Shaft, andyan sila. So in this situation, sa isang business daw, sa isang metropolis, so meron na agad tayong idea dapat, excuse me, yung mga manggagawa ay posibleng konti lang yung mga bagay that they have in common, konti lang similarities nila in orientation, beliefs, baka wala rin sila masyadong pake sa product na ginagawa nila. Pero pumapasok pa rin sila, no, araw-araw kasi kikita sila, kailangan nilang kumita ng pera. So, nagpapatuloy pa rin yung business dahil doon, dahil may pumapasok. So, this mentality, no, na ang dahilan, ang motivation mo, ang driving force kung bakit ka pumapasok ay dahil kailangan mo ng pera, is an example of letter A, Jessel Shaft. No? Instead of believing in how the product you're working on will actually improve the lives of other people, so on and so forth, you're not thinking about that. Instead, you're thinking about, yeah, I have to go to work kasi this will give me money. That's Jessel Shaft. Okay. Next tayo, number 2. Okay, low levels of this neurotransmitter are linked with issues in memory and thinking, such as those associated with Alzheimer's disease. Pero ang high levels naman ito may result to or lead to seizures and spasms. So the answer for number 2 is letter B, acetylcholine. Okay, yes, no problem. Screenshot daw sa number 1. Okay, no problem. Okay, number 2, 5 seconds, and then we'll move to number 3. Okay. For number 3, a marriage between a woman and multiple men is called, essentially, is called letter D, polyandry. So this is practiced daw in Nepal because and is often done between a woman and men who are brothers. So nangyayari ito kasi may shortage of women and land sa kanila. So konti lang ang kababaihan tapos konti lang din ang lupain. So yung setup ay syempre mas mainam kung isang babae lang sa kada household. Parang ganun. May isang babae in multiple households para masustain yung society. Okay, next, for question number 4. Okay, for number 4, In this situation, yung husband daw ay nag-commit ng infidelity. Tapos, ngayon, napapansin daw niya na mas nagpo-phone na yung asawa niya. Nag-uumpisa siya ng arguments na parang hindi siya nagkakaroon ng enough attention. Tapos, the wife is begging attention from other men, blah, blah, blah. So this defense mechanism is attributing things that the husband is actually guilty of. So that's letter B, projection. You attribute things that you don't like about yourself, things that you're guilty about onto other people. Next, number 5. Okay, so an individual who identifies as a socialist believes that, let's try to apply what we just discussed a while ago. So among the choices, what is your answer now for number 5? An individual who identifies as socialist is letter A, B, C, or D. Okay, kindly type your answer sa chat box as well para makita ko lang din kung clear naman yung naging discussion natin kanina. Socialism, sabi natin ang keyword, may keyword tayo na ginamit kanina. Kung sa communism, to his, sa communist, as a socialism, ang keyword naman natin is contribution. So thank you, Lee, for typing in your answer. The correct answer is letter C. You are correct. Now, it is everything that people produce is in some sense a social product, and everyone who contributes to the product, which parang sumusunod sa kanya. So nakaramdam siya ng tremors, no, at namawis yung kanyang palms. Tapos saka siya lumayo, tumakbo papalayo. Okay? So